weekend. See.
Okay, welcome back to the program Star Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Bringing the time now to 7 minutes past the top of the hour, and it is the Monday edition of Morning Show, as I did say, and the time now has gone, 7 minutes past the top of the hour, and let me see whether my colleague and co-presenter, Mr. Olayomi Koiki, can hear me. Yomi, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Okay, I think your sound to me here is a bit loud, low. So, okay, let's see. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay. I think I need to turn my headphones on a bit louder so I can hear very, very well. How are you, and how was your weekend? And we know we've had a rough patch during the latter part of last week, but hey, we are here, aren't we?
Well, it's been a beautiful weekend, and I hope you can hear me back in the studio.
Loud and clear.
Yeah. It's been a beautiful weekend. It's been a long one, and like you said, it's been, trying to work out, the modality of the technicality that we've had in the last couple of days. But it's good to be back after a very long, weekend. I think, weekend is always, meant to be, for family, but again, it's also for work related issues as well. So I think I spent the weekend. I paid a visit to my mom, which was a good thing. I spent good time with her. But over the weekend, it was more at home, with the family.
Okay, that's good. Listeners, Mr. Olayomi Koiki for you this morning, and we are going to be telling you everything that you need to know when it comes to Nigeria this morning. But let's start it from this point. Well, the former president, last week we had information coming through, accusing him of bankruptcy and all that. Well, I think when he was put the question as to whether he misses his tenure as a president or the presidency, he said, no way, Mose. Yomi, tell us more.
Well, you're quite right. I've listened to the snip view. We haven't got the full version of the interview as I speak right now, but we hope, let's listen to how the president responded, to the media that recorded this interview with the president in Castina in Daura State.
What do you miss the most about being in office?
Miss? Oh dear. I don't think I miss much.
How would you adjudge Nigeria's diplomatic ties with other countries of the world? What would you say were your footprint in that regard?
I am so preoccupied with the local problems that I hardly think about the external problems.
There was this impression that your administration was hijacked by some cabals. In fact, the word cabal became so popular during these last 8 years. Was it a figment of the imagination of Nigerians, or was there something? Do you really feel that your government was hijacked?
No, it must have been.
In the first months of your administration, you came out to say you have never been this ill. What really was the problem?
I think only my doctor can honestly answer that question.
When you were leaving the office, you did that to that your chair. What was the significance of that tap on that chair?
Goodbye.
Oh!
And that is just, the snip view of the president. It was Act Y. He tapped the chair. There was a particular video that the president on his way out of the office decided to hit the chair. You've asked him there, and he actually says, goodbye. And like you said, you could hear that it seems that maybe this is just to portray from what we were hearing last week, because this particular president, according to the new administration, according to the National Security Advisor, says President Muhammadu Buhari and the former Vice President Yemi Osinbajo bankrupted Nigeria.
Well, listeners, you know what we have been talking about there, pertaining to what the actions of the former president and his vice as well. But the way he was laughing, it was like casual, so much casual. I was thinking maybe it was some artistic impression of him, so it wasn't the real him. Is it the real him?
Well, most of us that remember, these, President Muhammadu Buhari, while he was a former military dictator, he was not a very smiley person. He hardly smiled. But since election of bringing him into the democracy, he actually changed a little bit. We started seeing a bit of humor around him. But what we can actually say is that this seems to be the real Buhari that maybe some of us never knew. But like you said, it was a much more of a casual. It doesn't have the heavy load, as at the time that he was the president. Right now, the new president has the heavy load to deal with, as many of the problems, when it comes to the economy, the inflation, the insecurity. But like you said, we'll wait for the full clip, and then we'll be able to analyze it a little bit much better. But many Nigerians have been reacting to, to that particular short, less than 3 minutes or 2 minute clip that was released, in the last 48 hours. And I'll be telling you the reaction of Nigerians. Like I said, throughout last week, we couldn't come on air for a few days, but President Muhammadu Buhari, the former president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, seems to be trending. And the reason for that was because the new administration is saying that Buhari collapse or bankrupt what we call the economy of Nigeria.
Well, listeners, it is Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. I hope you can all hear me. It looks like Yomi's audio went down a bit, so I was struggling to hear. I could hear you, but I hope that listeners were hearing you very well. But listeners, just bear with us. There is the backup system that is being used at the moment, so that the major one will be sorted. So we are getting used to it. All right, then. That's why this morning I was on, and then I think behind the scenes we were chatting, and it was all going online. Quite interesting one. But listen, as a Starr Radio UK. Yomi, can you still hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, good. All right, then. So let's now move on. Let's move on to some of the stories that is going around this morning. Vice President Shettima has said that he is optimistic that Nigeria will overcome its challenges with its citizen intellectual capabilities and President Bola Tinubu's leadership style amid domestic threats to our lives in the country. So at least we see him that he is now accepting that there is a challenge, domestic crisis, serious one that is going on. Yomi, tell us more.
Well, you're quite right. There's always been challenge, since the creation of Nigeria in 1914, by the British Empire, and that led to what we call the independent after Ghana had independent, and ever since, the dissolution of what we call the regional government, Nigeria has been going through a lot of problems, and those problems seems to be why president and vice president have been brought in to tackle and look into this. So let's go back into what the vice president Shettima is saying this morning. Once again, this is still the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London. This is Star Radio UK, and it is the morning show. Vice President Shettima admits that there is threat to Nigerians' lives. What are the threats? What threat are we talking about? When we talk about the economy of Nigeria today, looking back at the inflation, the inflation has jumped 24 times in 25 months. That is a big threat. I mean, we're not talking about the threat of the insecurity right now. We're talking about the threat of, Nigerians able to survive, during this very, very difficult time. Going back again to some of those threats, the vice president says, the government stand resolute in confronting this obstacle. Let's ask how they're going to confront this obstacle. In the last 48 hours, 2 governors were attacked by the terrorists, from the Yobe State governor. The attack took place on Saturday, where many were killed and likewise so many were injured. This is also a threat. The attack took place on Saturday after the governor attended the 24th convocation of the University of Maiduguri in Borno State. The suspected Boko Haram insurgents have attacked the convoy of the Yobe State Governor, Mayor Mala Buni, along Maiduguri Daramaki Road, killing 2 policemen and injuring others as well. Well, not just that alone, there's also a threat that took place at the Borno State Governor as well. So the vice president knows that there is a lot of obstacle, but in their belief, they are working together to build the Nigeria of our dream. Well, many Nigerians would like to know how those dreams will be built, because that was the same rhetoric that the APC told us in 2015. Now the vice president must also say the same thing, that Yemi Osinbajo, we thought was one of the brilliant, the best, among being put forward, is a senior advocate of Nigeria. He worked tirelessly, for the new president, as at the time he was the Lagos State, chief judge. But the vice president says Nigeria has to be optimistic, and the style of the leadership of President Tinubu will deal with the domestic threat to our lives and likewise to the economy.
Well, listeners, it is Star Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. There was a loss of sound in whilst Yomi was speaking for a bit, but it's been sorted, so just bear with us. Well, so if you're listening to us, what do you think about the vice president's statement? And is it acceptance that, look, they've got a lot of work to do, and I don't know how they're going to be planning everything out, though. I'm also there. Rachel, hey, I hope you are doing very, very well. I think now you can hear me, yeah? So give me a thumbs up if you can hear me, Rachel, Star Radio UK. Now, no tank PTD crisis. Petrol tanker drivers begin nationwide protests. Now, without them even going any strike of the sort, we have issues pertaining to fuel. So there are times when we have fuel scarcity and all that stuff that is going on. But Yomi, with what they are now embarking on, that is a protest, how do you think it's going to impact Nigeria as a whole, or we can call it a bluff? Yomi.
Well, it seems that the moment, the president is out of the country, there's always one kind of protest or the other. Last week we had, the NLC, the TUC shutting down the country for a couple of days, just less than 48 hours. They've returned back to, to work. But it seems that, like you said, the Nopeng, petrol tanker drivers have now also begun a nationwide protest. The statement is coming directly from the tanker driver to protest against Nopeng and police interference and harassment of their leaders. The same thing was the leader harassment from the NLC, Ajero, but the petroleum tanker drivers are threatening to exit his umbrella body, the Nigerian Union of the Petroleum and Natural Gas Worker, Nopeng, if his president Williams and the General Secretary Afolabi Olawale did not resign. According to the PTD Ibadan Depot, ex-official Gbenga Olawale issued a statement yesterday that the tanker drivers will begin a nationwide protest to press for their demand.
Okay, listeners, it is Star Radio UK, Now, these are all issues that is going on in Nigeria right now. So, what do you think about it? Do you think that government is doing much better than maybe what we anticipated? At times, like those the blind men who in Hindustan who went to see an elephant, and the story said that when they went to see the elephant, depending on where you are standing, people viewed it differently and could describe it differently. So maybe we are here making all that noise, but you know that look, things are working better for Nigerians. If that is what you believe in, yes, feel free. Let us know what you think, and then we'll share it with our lovely listeners. But it is the Star Radio UK Monday edition of the morning show. Mr. Olayomi Koiki with me, and we are looking at all the stories making the rounds this morning. 8 injured, properties worth millions destroyed. In Kwara fire incident. What brought about this fire, Yomi?
Well, fire is one of the, something that you try as much as possible, that you don't want it to happen, but it does happen. Just like, just like we saw in UK last week when there was a fire incident that led to the death of 5 families. According to the story coming out from Kwara State, southwest of Nigeria, the firemen departed from the station. Upon arriving at the scene, they encountered a building with about 17 self-contained rooms fully ablaze. 4 rooms were affected, 8 individuals sustained injuries. 7 students of the Kwara State Polytechnic in Ilorin have sustained varying degrees of injury during a fire at a gas refilling shop near the student hostel. In Nigeria, you have to go with your, empty gas, and then you have to go somewhere and buy it. And, I've been there a few times myself. Safety is very, very important. It's very key. But the question is that how do we make sure that, during the process, transferring this very, very highly inflammable into those that are buyers. In UK, we've seen gas explosion. I was reading, the paper this morning where a elderly man died of a gas explosion. But the only difference is that the gas comes into the house in UK as compared to Nigeria, where you have to take the empty gas cylinder and have to be refilled. And sometimes there could be a bit of spark that can occur. The fire incident that occurred at Destiny Villa, Dola Abimbola Street area in Ilorin East local government area on Saturday also involved the gas attender. According to the head of the Department Media and Publicity of the State Fire Service, Akim Adekunle, on behalf of the director of the service, Prince Falade John, said that the fire started when a gas attender at the nearby gas shop was refilling the gas cylinder positioned several meters above the ground. Like I said, these are very, very highly inflammable, product. But we hope that more can be done for the safety of those that are buying and those that are selling it as well.
Well, it's quite interesting what we are discussing here, because I'm looking at it that that is the only means, or that's the only way where we are able to actually dispense gas to our various homes. Do you think that there's a tendency that maybe the government in Nigeria will look at like what is done here, but even that, how many houses have got?
You're quite right. I listened to the interview that was granted to the governor of Lagos State, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, talking about services. I mean, if you're going to start thinking about having gas into each home like we have it in UK, most of those homes have to be either brought down and built into the standard. Because we're talking about a very, very density area sometimes, in most of the, 774 local government that we have. It would also open a new windows of opportunity. We have to first be able to train as many people. I did an interview with a young man that came in to do a gas check in the house. Well, actually it was a boiler, but we had the gas check done simultaneously. And I did ask him, how long it took him, to be able to start working on his own, because you remember that we have to send individuals into homes, and if they are not well trained, that could also be a problem. So there is an opportunity there, but the question is, do we have, the government that is ready to do such, when most of the European countries are more interested in those gas should be taken out of Nigeria rather than making it useful for those of us at home, and that is another big problem. So training is one of the key areas. If we're going to have that first, then it's going to be a lot of planning I mean, if you go out into different homes in UK, you will see the gas pipe that are quite late. Some of them are old and some of them have been changed. But the question is, it would involve not just the federal government. This will be a private investor that will have to come in and take this kind of opportunity. But do we have a government that is ready to do so? As the president is currently now in Germany for the G20, the question is, Germany has what it takes to do such, likewise many other countries around the world, but are we really honest when we come to investors investing in a country that itself has a lot of issues to tackle with?
That's a big question, but well, we'll see what listeners are thinking of. Maybe you're experiencing it differently from what we are doing here. Let us know exactly that, and we will share it as well. But listeners are already UK. Now, moving on to some of the other stories as well. Now, inflation has jumped 24 times in 25 months in Nigeria. Yummy.
Well, you can tell, from many Nigerians that are crying every day. The expectation is that Emilocon, is going to bring a kind of a new performance. It's going to change from the Say Baba. It was used to be Say Baba until we now have Emilocon. Yes, I mean, 24 times in 25 months, is a very, very tough time ahead. Inflation rate has increased 24 times in less than 25 months. That's 2 years, according to findings. This is also according to the analysis of the Commodity Price Index that was reported by the National Bureau of Statistics. The analysis showed that between October 2021 and October 2023, Nigeria's inflation increased 24 times, with singular option of December 2022 when it's slower to 21.34. According to the KPMG, we are looking at about 30% in the next 6 weeks. That means that the cost of living, the cost of fuel, the cost of buying stuff will definitely increase. I was looking at a young boy that went into the chemist. He has these illness of asthmatics, and he was complaining bitterly about the price of drugs have gone up, 3 times, 4 times as well. What can the new administration do to reduce or stabilize the speed of this inflation? Definitely, they will have to put in a lot of effort. As we speak today, the pounds to the naira is about 1,350, and the dollar is about almost 1,000. The whole bulk of the problem is because for a very long time, Nigeria refused to invest in industry. And that literally means that, we do not produce anything, not even toothpick. We have to rely on everything that we consume from outside as well. For instance, as well, 2 years ago, a monthly salary of 100,000 and a monthly expenses of 50,000 reflect 50% of the salary as well. The reason why the NLC are complaining that most of the workers can no longer survive with the little stipend that is being paid as well. Fast forward in 2023, the monthly salary is the same, but the price of goods are now at the record high. This means that about 50% of the monthly salary will be spent on the same expenses, affecting the amount on the last every month. In June, the National Bureau of Statistics says the continued depreciation of the naira, the persistent inflation had eroded that 13.72 trillion that workers' salary gained in the last 4 years. Many Nigerians are crying out. Let's take you to an economics that spoke at Olabisi Onabanjo, where there was a complete shutdown. We hope things have returned back to normalcy during the NLC protest. Professor Sherifuddin Teller noted that 23 times inflation has increased in 2 years implies that more Nigerians have continued to fall into the poverty net. Remember that Nigeria still remains the capital poverty of the world.
Well, Nigeria is said to be the capital poverty of the world, but there are people living in, there are people doing well. Maybe you are there, you see everything differently. What about that? Let us know. But last week we were looking at the NLC and the TUC labor strikes and its impact on Nigeria as a whole. I'm looking at the inflation. What have they said so far? Have they stopped? Have they broken a peace with them? Have they come to a truce, or they are still mates? And what are they doing? Tell us more.
Well, the NLC have given again, a breathing room between the federal government and the union, the TUC, to work out modality. We hope, the question is the country doesn't have the money that, you can tell from the loan that we've taken, we are not producing enough, and the little that we are producing from the crude oil, the former administration have actually used that to borrow the loans, and that is having a big impact. So what the NLC are saying is that the salary needs to be paid, and the increase of the salary is very, very important. I'm just looking at, again, the College of Education Academic Staff Union on Monday commended President Bola Tinubu for listening to the voice of the reasoning by suspending the deduction of 40% from the internal generated revenue of the federal government-owned tertiary institution. There's a pressure on the ground, but President Bola Tinubu is trying to stabilize it. How he's going to do that, we will have to wait. But many Nigerians doesn't have the time to wait, because many are dying, many are committing suicide, and the numbers keep growing on a daily basis.
The numbers keep growing, but what do you think can be done for them? Listen to Starr Radio, Mr. Olayomi, Koiki in our North London studios. I'm Archie here in the South studios, and we are bringing you updates from Nigeria. Let me say good morning to Okoya Afolayan. I hope you are doing very, very, very well. It salutes each and every one of us, and we say have a lovely day to Okoya girl. Let's move on to one story that if you are here, you are in the diaspora, you are in the UK here, and it's happened to you, and those of you in other places, well, it's happened to most of them in Nigeria, and in the US, Nigerian citizens in Nigeria, in the US, and that is all to do with your passport. So if you are planning to maybe travel to Nigeria, you might have a US passport, but you want to have your Nigerian passport when you are going there, so you can be treated as somebody from home. All right. But or you have some documentations to do and you need a new passport. Well, listen about their passport machine or the processing has been suspended due to their servers breaking down. Yummy.
Well, about the passport, whether you are a diaspora or whether you are just a Nigerian that need that passport, for a form of identification, or you just want to tap, as many are doing right now, because the economy and inflation is biting very hard. According to the Organization of the Advancement of Nigerians, OAN, and its 20 partner organizations in New York have now called on President Bola Tinubu government to address the passport production crisis in the Nigerians mission in the United States. I mean, if we are having problem having the passport, not that we don't have the money, to get it, but getting that passport is one of the biggest threats to Nigerians. Nigeria has 3 missions in the United States of America. They're the Consulate General of Nigeria in New York and also in Atlanta, and the Embassy of Nigeria in Washington, D.C. The Embassy in Washington, D.C. is the only passport production center in the U.S. And imagine many Nigerians that are also residing in the U.S., the country that has, good amount of Nigerians. The consulate takes biometrics in their mission to the Washington, D.C. for passport production. Due to the server itch, the Nigerian embassy in Washington has not produced passport since November 13. And that means that if you're a Nigerian that you have to travel back home for emergency, for whatever reason, or you might just need the passport because you have an application with immigration in America, just like many Nigerians are struggling as well. There was a process that took place, I think, October 16, where they were meant to capture 1,000 Nigerians in the United Kingdom in Manchester. Probably they couldn't even capture 300 because they came in with one biometric. The whole idea was to make sure they capture 200 Nigerians every day. This would have been an advantage for those that are living in up north, Glasgow, Edinburgh, Manchester, Liverpool, and those axes, so that they don't have to come to London. It seems that this passport is becoming a very difficult situation, and they are now telling the new president to put something in place so that we can get this sorted out. It's also called on the government to invest in necessary technology, infrastructure, support system, ensure the security, seamless functioning of critical service for Nigerians abroad. The question is, will this new administration listen, or are we just going to become the same rhetorics for the next 4 years?
Well, is that what it's going to be? Same old, just another day? Well, it is Starr Radio, okay? 11:35, we'll go to Yomi for the rest of the stories making the rounds. But if you have any comments, feel free, post it as others have done, and we will make sure we read and we acknowledge you. Over to you, Yomi.
As we come into the final part of the update, factional River State Speaker says gunmen and rogue police officer attack his home. Still tension in that state as well. It seems that after a lot of pressure in Osun State, Adeleke, the governor, has makes a U-turn on appointment of Osun Chief Judge. There was a controversy that has trailed the order by the State House of Assembly for Justice Ojo to step aside over allegation of gross misconduct. What do we know? Osun State Governor Senator Demola Adeleke has made a U-turn on the appointment of Justice Olayinka David Afolabi as the acting Chief Judge of the state to replace the sacked Chief Judge Justice Akpele Ojo. Controversy had trailed the order by the State House of Assembly for Justice Ojo to step aside over allegation of gross misconduct. And I think, this is meant to be the right thing to do. A member of parliament, just also stepped aside. I'm looking at trying to see if I can get that name out. This is what we expect, in a sane society, but sometimes this doesn't happen in Nigeria, and that is why most of the time, we ask questions, when politicians have done wrong, we expect them to step aside. MP convicted of race abuse to stand down. An MP, member of parliament found guilty of the racist abuse, has announced it will step down at the next general election. Bob Stewart, who was representing Beckenham in southeast London since 2010, said he would not seek re-election in a post on the X, which made no reference to the conviction. So we expect the same thing to happen in Nigeria, but definitely this doesn't happen. But we hope that the new administration of the, Governor Adeleke, for saying that, well, maybe we should just go in line with the Sorosoke, which is the new generation of speak up, if you want it done. Let's take you straight to, the president is currently in Germany. Remember that we had the German chancellor in Nigeria some few weeks ago. It seems that the president also has now returned the same journey back. Tinubu has actually departed for Germany for the G20 Compact with African Conference in Berlin. President Bola Tinubu has departed Nigeria for Berlin, Germany, to attend the G20 Compact with Africa CWA conference. The president that departed, in Nigeria was seen out by top government officials that was led by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Senator George Akume. The president, Tinubu, will join other head of state, government of the CWA member countries, bilateral partners, as well as head of international organization to deliberate on the immediate enhance of economic business cooperation with a view to outlining the concrete measures to boost investment in critical areas such as energy, trade, infrastructure, new technology, and others. So we see what is going to be some of the communique coming out of there. Accompanying the president, just as normally, when president travels, when the prime minister travels, or any countries around the world leaders, they take along, top-notch people to go with them on that trip. President trip, consists of the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Yusuf Tuga, the Coordinating Minister of the Economy and Minister of Finance, Mr. Wale Edu, the Minister of Industry and Trade and Investment, Dr. Doris Uzoka Anite, and the Minister of Power, Chief Adebayo Adelabo. President will return to the country following the conclusion of the conference. So we will wait and see what is going to be the outcome of such. At 11:39, shun ethnic politics. Akwa Ibom tells Monarch, it's coming from the governor of Akwa Ibom, Umo Eno, has appealed to traditional rulers in the state to resist the temptation by politicians to divide the state along ethnic lines. Some traditional rulers had literally dragged the state government to court, challenging the passage of the amended traditional rule cap 155 of Akwa Ibom State as well. Let's see what is more happening, and then we'll go straight to what is happening on the social media as well this morning. Service extension. Federal government owes 600 teachers 23 months salary. Again, you ask the question, if Nigerians are being owed salary, how do you expect productivity? And most importantly, if these are teachers, how do you expect them, to teach well in the classroom? No fewer than 600 teachers in the Federal Civil Service, precisely under the Federal Ministry of Education and Federal Ministry of Defense, who benefited from the federal government service elongation package for teachers, are currently being owed 23 months' salary, according to the investigation. The services elongation for teachers was introduced by the former administration of by the administration of the former President Muhammadu Buhari. The beneficiary teachers are in some of the nation's unity schools, schools owned by the military and paramilitary. As of January 2021, the Federal Executive Council approved a bill that sought to increase the retirement age and service years of the teachers. Then the Minister of Education, Adamu, explained that the essence of the bill was to give legal backing for the approval of the new retirement age from 65 to 60 years for teachers and extended their period of service from 35 to 40 years. The bill, according to him, also sought to introduce bursary. The question is, why then have we continued to see that bills are brought in, but yet when it comes to making these becoming reality to Nigerians, it's just a different story entirely. Well, as we go into more as well of the, Enugu says transport infrastructure to provide 11,000 jobs. Well, transport system is a very, very important I was literally, I traveled down towards the 8th this morning, and in my broadcast, I was showing for 20 minutes, on the 8th how, vehicular movement was moving from point A to point B, and different, even, as one of the police officers that was passing by, actually, in their vehicle also waved to me. The question is, as much as we want our road network to be working, they are not working, and the reason why they are not working is because apart from the terrorist attack on those networks, the road itself, it's not mostly drivable for some of these heavy trucks. And when Nigerians are saying that we want a country that works, then you have to, I think there's an echo, I'm not too sure if you can hear me back.
Yeah, we can hear you, yeah.
We hope that, this new administration will invest more when it comes to the road network as well. State of the nation, what Tinubu will compel us to do by Bode George. Bode George is one of the PDP stunts as well. But again, Tinubu headed for Germany, 48 hours. We talked about that already. Also, concern over Tinubu furies of appointment is also coming as well. So many appointments in this administration. The president says, I still have belief in my chief of staff, even though there was a lot of rumors out there that the chief of staff seems to now use this position, to get appointment or by appointment, as some allegation is out there. We don't have evidence to such. But again, the president said a couple of weeks ago that he still believes in his chief of staff, which is Femi Gbajabiamila. The manner in which the president Bola Tinubu reversed some political appointment has continued to keep tongues wagging on the quality of due diligence on offer at the top and calling to question who is in charge of the presidency. Remember that the Buhari was asked, was the government hijacked by the cabal? Has this president already been hijacked? Time will tell. The recent appointment and disappointment of nominees by President Bola Tinubu has raised the issue of who is actually checking the profiles, the suitability of political appointees before announcement is made. I mean, we've seen errors of people being appointed and then disappointment again. The question of who among Tinubu's men in and out of the presidency, as well as security agencies that carry out due diligence and clearance. Because before you can announce someone working for the government, you must have gone through a thorough clearance. So it seems that is where some are saying that it seems that there is maybe Tinubu's government has already been hijacked. We have to wait and see. What is trending on the social media this morning at 11:45 before I come back again to you in the studio, Mr. Archie? There's a lot. Let's look at what African Confidential said some 7 hours ago. A group that went from agitating for self-determination to openly mocking the victims of genocide in Biafra war and in fact justifying it. I don't think I want anything to do with such despicable human beings. I don't sugarcoat hypocrisy or evil just because you are a Yoruba person. And we must continue to remind people that there was a genocide that took place, between the federal government as at the time of the Biafra war. Until date, seems that apology have not been done as we speak. River State is trending this morning. It seems that there's also revolution that is trending, and that means that when we talk about revolution, we've had Showore says that the country needs revolution. Many Nigerians think that a revolution is only what is needed, to transform Nigeria back to what it is. While some say we don't need revolution, all we need is just self-determination, and that right is something that must be respected for those that are campaigning of self-determination, the Yorubas, the Biafras, and those that want out of Nigeria. Babajide Sanwo-Olu is trending. I mean, I still ask question. There's the Lagos Union in UK are still not happy that a program was brought to UK, and an organization or a group that has been running for 30 years where the governor is the patron were not involved when they had the London mayor showcased, and the Lagos state brought in, the culture of Yoruba people as well. But Sanwo-Olu is trending, and I've read few of that in the, before coming on air. It seems that in a budget, Sanwo-Olu is putting about 7 point something million for perfumes. Wow, politicians can never change. So it seems that part of their budget that has come onto the screen, many Nigerians are wondering why they have to use 7.5 million for what we called perfume purchase. Well, maybe it's just to smell nice when someone who is traveling, especially when it's coming to London to meet, the London mayor and the rest. That's how far I can take you. But let's take on this Igbo proverb that said they will teach you that I don't want to use that word. I'll say Onyibo man called Mungo Park discover River Niger. That is rubbish. Our people finished the Niger long before Mungo Park's grandfather was born, Shimade Ngozi Adichie. Remember that, I learned that Mungo Park founded River Niger, and then we realized that it was all lies. I'm sure Mungo Park wasn't even born, the father wasn't born, the great-grandfather wasn't born before that river's been there. But again, when history has been distorted, many Yorubas, many Igbos, many Hausas don't even know who we are because we have been forced to speak English. English is not our local language. Our language is Yoruba, Igbo, and Hausa. But since the 1914 amalgamation has changed everything. I was watching a program last night on BBC. I don't know whether you've seen it, the Planet Earth, Part 3. Yeah. And they were talking about different animals living in Amazon. Some of them can't live together. They can't coexist together.
I saw that. Yeah.
And I'm wondering if we have 350 ethnic groups put together, I can imagine why some say it's a zoo. Well, and even in the zoo, you put them in different places.
Yeah. Let everybody have their own space and do have to do that they understand themselves, but it doesn't seem.
That was a very fantastic program, watching how the animals respond with sense, and the Yorubas wants to move forward, but a country like the northern part where they have 11 or 12 states that are running Sharia, I don't think I want to go and live in any country or a state like that where they're running Sharia. I rather want us to remain secular if we're going to be one, but if I have to go set up a business in the north, alcohol is being destroyed, but in Lagos State, they're using the same alcohol tax to fund the north. Well, these are issues that needs to be discussed on the table. If the country needs to be restructured, it has to be done as quickly as possible before things goes the other way around. But it seems that the politicians are buying perfumes, spending money, changing their hardwares, and as I saw the wife of governor of Ondo State dancing. Well, there's nothing wrong in dancing, but the husband has become living in another state. He can't travel to his own state anymore. So he's actually running the state from another state. And he just returned after a 3-month visit to Germany on a medical treatment. The question then is, why are the politicians doing this to Nigerians at a very difficult time that Nigeria is going through so much?
No, I don't believe what Sanwo-Olu has made, because I'm what is it, 70 or 700 million?
7.5 million
naira. Now there are people who cannot even have just 1 square meal.
Yeah.
They are desperate.
That could have been divided, and I'm sure that would set up many people into businesses. Because an average Nigerian needs roughly about 100,000 to kickstart a business.
It's sickening, because I think they take us for, I would say, mugus. So,
yeah, they're right.
Well, listeners, Mr. Olayomi Koiki, for you bringing you updates from Nigeria. We have to bring the update to a close. But, well, don't go away because we're still going to be continuing. But Yomi, before you go.
Well, it is still the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London. At 11 o'clock, we take you through what is happening in the most populous black nation in Africa. But people say it's just the ant of Africa because there's no respect for Nigerians anymore, even in Africa.
Yomi, have a lovely day. We catch up later.
Bye for now.
Bye-bye. Okay, listeners, that has been Mr. Olayomi Koiki bringing you updates from Nigeria. I am Archie here. We're going to be continuing 9 minutes to the top of the others. 9 minutes will.
All right, we're going to take a short break. As usual, you know that. So much people out there. Mokia and can say good morning. Thank you so much, everyone that have joined us. Good morning, good morning. So let's come back at about 1 o'clock. So probably in an hour's time, I've had breakfast, so all I just need to just do 1 or 2 things, and then we come back and do a full program. Happy New Week once again. Happy New Week. Triple DRS, Barney Woolwich, Mrs. Abose de Rachel, a very good morning to you, ma. Almost afternoon, it's almost 10 minutes before. We can't around the world. There's a lot of echoing. Okay, really? Bear with us. We're trying our best with the little resources that we have. So if one platform is not working for you, just do another platform. We're streaming on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, almost 6 platforms. iPad, even charger data. So this one got dead along the line. So if one platform is not working for you, please help us to join another platform. That is the only way you can help the program as well. Many people are not watching us because they stick to one platform, especially on KOIKIMEDIA. So we're going to post it now, but they're not watching it live. That's unfortunate that because they're not following the WT76 backup channel. So in time we're live, you're lucky. Some will have to watch it later on. But when we come back, we go on the full program on all the platforms. Hopefully my engineer will come around and we can get this, my laptop fixed so that we can have a stable broadcast. But for now, I'm only using a mobile phone to stream. That's how far we can do. Mokia Easy Dollar, a very good morning. Moki Prophet John Ogundele. Thanks so much to Omoluabi Apparel. They actually sent me some new outfits. See if I can wear one of them later on. Thanks so much for the love. You can also check them out. Omoluabi Apparel. The family is doing very well. We're grateful. We give thanks. So if you want the kind of outfit that I put on, I love this now. Even I'm seeing it on. So it's very beautiful. I take this out with me every time so that people can see it. So I do like that. So Yoruba Yama home. It's just something to replicate that this is who I am. People recognize me when they see me. I was somewhere, somebody say, your face looks familiar. I say, well, it must be familiar, especially if you're on the media. So, and it's very good. He also has the Omoluabi apparel at the back. So if there's about interest, LOC or the website one, Omoluabi apparel. Apparel is spelled APPAREL. Omoluabi. I'm sure everybody knows Omoluabi. So let me take a break. I'll come back and we will do a program. I don't know what we're going to talk about, but we'll talk about something. So a very good afternoon. Not Olayemi. The reason why you have to correct it is to buy a mistake here in the UK. Timo accepted there. Good morning, Sister Bookie. I can cite you there. I'm going to come back where we do a proper program, and hopefully you join us there. If I leave it as Olayemi, and I continue to bear Olayemi, one day I'll just go somewhere, they'll say Olayemi, and that means I'm two person. Orukowa, very, very important. Even the smallest alphabet change in your name in this country, you're somebody else. Because what lock Olayomi Pelukokon, which I think is probably maybe what we're going to talk when I come back. Me now, as Olayomi Koiki, my fingerprint has been locked under Olayomi Koiki. Okay? Kí wá tún wá sọ pé èmi ni Ọláyẹmí. So tọ́lọ́pàá bá dá mi dúró ní ti bá ní Ọláyẹmí ni mò ń jẹ́, ó ti edit. Tí bá ní Ọláyẹmí ni mò ń jẹ́, ọlọ́pàá máa ní, what about that Olayomi? So what I will do is I will say, Olayomi Koiki, alias Olayemi Koiki. You know, and there's a lot of crime in this country. You can say all these guys, I don't run cocaine business, ni Louis. But anybody doing crime, we go after them. Shebo go after one. You can see, these are criminals. Okay? Criminals. Drugs, Lonshini Louis. Right? They bust them. Bashema bust in Nigeria and Jokon. Oku there. It's just a matter of time. Thank you so much. Bye for now, everybody. Mokenta Walori Mixela. Am I been for the audio that also interrupted at the beginning? So we'll come back later and now the